The morning sun pours through the tall windows of Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, turning the polished floor into mirrors. Travelers rush by with suitcases rolling behind them like tiny shadows. Amid the crowd stands Dr. Adrian Wells, 35, a tall black man with calm eyes and a thoughtful posture. His outfit couldn't be more ordinary. A simple navy polo, jeans, clean but inexpensive sneakers. Nothing about him says money or status. His luggage is a small carry-on with a frayed handle and a backpack with a couple of worn patches. He looks like a regular guy heading on a business trip, maybe even someone trying to save every dollar he can. He checks his phone. Flight 217, boarding in 20 minutes. Gate B12. Inside his backpack sits a sealed folder stamped Federal Aviation Administration Aircraft Safety Inspection. Confidential. Adrian is not a businessman or a coach-class traveler scraping by. He is an FAA aviation safety inspector, one of the people responsible for ensuring that airlines maintain the highest safety standards. Pilots, flight crews, mechanics, whether they know it or not, work under his oversight. He doesn't flaunt his authority. He doesn't like grand entrances. He believes people show their true selves when they think no one important is watching. That is exactly why he dresses simply when he flies. He takes a slow breath, feeling the weight of the day. He's heading to Houston for a surprise audit that could determine whether a major airline keeps its operating certification. Lives depend on honesty in the air. Even the tiniest overlooked detail could mean disaster. He smooths his shirt, adjusting the strap on his bag. He plans to observe staff behavior before revealing who he is, a common procedure. It allows him to see the truth instead of rehearsed professionalism. But truth can be ugly, especially when someone is judged by skin color before credentials. Adrian scans his boarding pass one more time. Seat 2A first class. He earned that seat through work, not wealth. Not that anyone looking at him would believe it. He takes a step toward the boarding lane, confident, focused. The day hasn't even begun yet, and already the sky is waiting for him to protect it. The jet bridge hums with soft mechanical noise as passengers shuffle forward. The air smells faintly of fuel and recycled air, a familiar scent Adrian has come to associate with purpose. He steps through the aircraft door with a polite nod to the first flight attendant he sees. Her name tag reads, Chloe. Perfectly curled hair, crisp uniform, polished shoes. She looks up, ready to deliver her rehearsed first-class greeting, until she actually sees him. Her smile evaporates. Her gaze travels from Adrian's face to his modest clothes, to the scuffed carry-on handle. Judgment flashes like lightning in her eyes. Coach is down that way, she says quickly, blocking the aisle with her arm. Adrian remains calm, voice soft but clear. I'm in first class. Seat 2A. Chloe lets out a breathy laugh, the kind people use when they think they've caught someone lying. There must be a mistake. She taps the boarding pass with a manicured nail. We don't seat casual travelers in premium cabins. Passengers glance over, curious, entertained, assuming the worst. A man in a suit smirks. A woman whispers behind her hand. Someone rolls their eyes like Adrian is the day's inconvenience. Adrian holds his ground, posture firm but respectful. I paid for my ticket. I'd like to take my seat. Chloe's lips tighten into a smile that isn't a smile. Oh, I'm sure you think you did. She snatches the boarding pass from his hand. Let's get this sorted before there's embarrassment. Embarrassment. He feels the sting of that word deep in his chest. Because he's been here before. Not here specifically, but here in this assumption. You don't belong. People like you can't afford this. You must be trying something dishonest. Judged before recognized. Dismissed before acknowledged. Chloe turns to the passengers behind him. Excuse us. He's blocking the boarding process. More stares, more whispers. Adrian keeps his voice level, though it costs him effort. I'm not blocking anything. I'm being denied my seat. Chloe scoffs and gestures toward the jet bridge door. We'll handle this in the terminal. Now dozens of eyes follow Adrian as she forces him to walk backward, like a criminal caught sneaking into a place where he has no right to be. But he keeps his head high. He may be dressed like a regular traveler, but authority doesn't come from clothing. It comes from truth. And soon, she will see exactly who she tried to humiliate. The terminal buzzes with movement and conversation as Chloe marches back out of the jet bridge, Adrian behind her, like someone being escorted off a crime scene. Every step feels heavier than the last. Passengers waiting to board turn to stare. Some smirk, some judge. None ask questions. Chloe signals the gate agent, a young white woman named Lindsay, who straightens up immediately at the drama unfolding. "We have a seating situation," Chloe says loudly, as if narrating a spectacle. "This gentleman claims he's supposed to be in first class." Lindsay raises her brows, eyes scanning Adrian with that same measuring look Chloe gave him. That look that decides a person's worth in a fraction of a second. "Sir," Lindsay says, voice sugary but sharp, "can I see your boarding pass?" Chloe hands it over before he can. "He probably printed a fake," she mutters. The words hit Adrian like ice water. Fake, fraud, criminal. All because he doesn't fit the picture they expect. Lindsay scans the boarding pass. The computer beeps, her eyes widen. Her face drains just slightly. Boarding group, first class. Seat 2A, confirmed. She clears her throat. "It's valid," she says carefully. Chloe's face tightens. There must still be a mistake. Maybe he got this through someone else. "We should call security to verify." Adrian finally steps forward, his voice steady, but full of restrained fire. "I paid for that ticket with my own card. I checked in legally. And the only problem happening here is the judgment I received before any facts were checked." Several passengers in line shift uncomfortably, the kind of discomfort that comes from knowing they played along with someone's humiliation. Chloe lowers her chin, doubling down. "We just need to confirm, for safety." Safety. As if he is a threat, as if his dignity has less right to exist than her pride. Adrian has had enough. Slowly, he reaches into his wallet, but not for money, not for explanation, for authority. He pulls out a black leather badge case, flicks it open. The FAA seal gleams gold under the fluorescent lights. Federal Aviation Administration Aviation Safety Inspector. The crowd goes silent. Chloe's mouth falls open slightly. Lindsay instinctively straightens, posture snapping professional. Adrian holds the badge calmly, letting the truth sink in. "I was boarding quietly, respectfully. Then, you chose to escalate." His eyes lock on Chloe's, controlled, unwavering. "So now we do things my way." The humiliation doesn't belong to him anymore. It shifts, right where it always belonged. Chloe swallows hard. Passengers look away, ashamed of their assumptions. Judgment turns into shock. Adrian retrieves his boarding pass from Lindsay's trembling hand, never breaking eye contact. "I'll be taking my seat now." And this time, no one tries to stop him. The moment Adrian snaps his badge holder shut, the entire atmosphere shifts. Just minutes ago, Chloe had walked with the confidence of someone convinced she was superior, the social gatekeeper of the skies. Now, her polished shoes feel suddenly too loud against the jet bridge floor as she leads him back toward the aircraft. Every step she takes is stiff, like she's trying to keep from falling apart. "Welcome aboard, sir," she mutters, voice thin and forced. Adrian doesn't respond. His silence is enough. Silence. Passengers who earlier stared with judgment now stare with wide eyes, their assumptions quietly shattering. The man they thought didn't belong is someone whose signature could ground this entire airline if he deemed it unsafe. When Adrian steps back into first class, the businessman in the tailored suit no longer smirks. He quickly straightens, eyes forward, pretending he never laughed. A woman clutching a designer purse avoids eye contact entirely, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Adrian stores his carry-on in the overhead bin and takes his seat. 2A, where he belonged all along. Chloe stands beside him, trying to regain professionalism. "Would you care for a pre-flight beverage, sir?" Her voice cracks slightly on the "sir." Adrian lifts his eyes to her, calm and measured. "No, thank you. Just perform your job correctly." The words land softly, but they hit hard. Chloe stiffens. It's not anger she fears. It's accountability. The captain steps out of the cockpit, drawn by the tension. He spots the badge clipped discreetly inside Adrian's folder, and his demeanor instantly shifts to formal respect. "Inspector Wells," he says, offering a polite handshake, "we had no notice of your presence. Please let me know if there's anything we need to improve today." Adrian nods once, keeping his tone neutral. "I am already observing." The captain gets the message. He returns to the cockpit with newfound urgency. Chloe retreats to the galley where another flight attendant whispers frantically, "What did you do?" I, I didn't know, Chloe stammers. I thought, her voice trails off. She thought. She judged. She assumed his value by his clothes, his suitcase, his skin. Now she faces the consequences of that choice. As the cabin door closes and the engines begin to rumble, Adrian fastens his seatbelt with steady hands. He gazes up the aisle, not with satisfaction, not with pettiness, but with the quiet certainty of a man who knows his worth. He didn't need a uniform to belong in first class. He didn't need luxury labels or expensive shoes. All he needed was the truth. The power he holds now was his from the start, only unseen by those who chose not to see. The aircraft begins to taxi. The air hums with the energy of roles reversed. And for the first time on this flight, everyone knows exactly who's in command. As the plane climbs into the clouds, the cabin vibrates gently beneath Adrian's feet. First class settles into its usual rhythm. Passengers sipping wine, reclining seats whirring softly, the faint clink of silverware from the galley. From the outside, everything looks polished and calm. Inside, Adrian feels anything but. He opens his folder to review documentation for the inspection. His posture straight, his face composed, every inch the professional. But beneath the mask, frustration simmers. Why did it take a badge, a title, a symbol of power to be treated with basic respect? Why must dignity be proven instead of assumed? Chloe approaches slowly, her confidence replaced with carefulness. If you need anything, sir, please let me know. Her words hover in the air, awkward and thin, like she's afraid even her tone might offend him. Adrian nods politely but doesn't look up. The message is clear. He isn't angry. He's done with excuses. He resumes observing the cabin as part of his audit. His trained eyes catch everything. A safety latch not locked properly, a beverage cart left unsecured, a rushed briefing delivered without eye contact. Little things that might not matter on a good day, until they matter too much. He takes notes. Efficient, unemotional, precise. Passengers occasionally glance at him, recognizing authority now where they once saw inconvenience. The man in the suit who smirked earlier tries to strike up friendly conversation, suddenly eager to be on good terms. Adrian gives short answers, enough to remain professional but nothing more. Respect earned out of fear isn't respect. The flight continues quietly. Too quietly. Adrian closes his folder and lets his gaze drift to the thin line of blue sky visible from his window. Up here, everyone is small. Status, stereotypes, assumptions, they mean absolutely nothing at 30,000 feet. The only things that keep this metal tube in the sky are science, skill, and discipline. Those are the values he lives by. He sighs, soft enough that no one can hear. He didn't want to shame anyone today. He just wanted to fly, do his job, and go protect more lives. Yet before the wheels even left the ground, someone tried to decide his place in the world for him. Not today. He straightens in his seat, lifts his chin, and focuses. There is work to do, people to protect, standards to uphold. He will finish this flight the same way he boarded it, with purpose. The plane cruises smoothly above the clouds, but Adrian knows turbulence always comes eventually. When it does, he'll be ready. He always is. Hours pass. The sun stretches across the cabin windows like a gold ribbon. The seatbelt sign dings off with a soft chime, and passengers loosen up. Earbuds in, laptops open, meals ordered. Adrian stays attentive. Even when he appears relaxed, his mind scans every detail with the instincts of someone responsible for lives. He notices Chloe struggling to maintain composure. Her movements, once sharp and commanding, now seem overly cautious. She double-checks every tray, every instruction, every step, as if expecting his eyes to catch her failures. Not because she fears a poor review, because she fears a truth she cannot outrun. Her prejudice was exposed. Adrian watches her greet a family seated in business attire with exaggerated warmth. A stark contrast to the cold suspicion she showed him. Bias becomes most visible when someone tries too hard to hide it. He notes it quietly. Later, he sees a drink cart left unlocked for a moment too long. He waits, curious. Chloe notices his gaze, and practically sprints back to secure it, fumbling with the latch, cheeks burning. Adrian writes a single note. Safety procedure needs reinforcement. Not vindictive, just honest. The captain announces turbulence ahead. The plane dips slightly, enough to make passengers grip armrests. Chloe stands frozen for a moment before snapping into motion, attending seatbelts, checking latches, trying to recapture the authority she squandered. Adrian observes something striking. When fear interrupted routine, Chloe finally acted how she should have from the start, responsibly, attentively, free of judgment. Turbulence has a way of revealing priorities. Once the aircraft stabilizes, the captain exits the cockpit briefly to discuss a minor maintenance note. Seeing Adrian, he straightens and asks quietly, "Inspector Wells, how does everything look?" Adrian meets his eyes, his voice level but meaningful. There is room for improvement. Most of it begins with awareness of responsibilities and of passengers. The captain nods instantly. Understood. Adrian's attention shifts. He notices Chloe standing a few feet away, listening, her face tense, understanding exactly what that implies. Not a punishment, but a reminder, a chance to grow. She approaches hesitantly. "Sir, I know an apology doesn't fix anything, but I want to say it anyway." Her voice cracks, stripped of pride. "I judged you before I even spoke to you. I treated you like you didn't belong. That was wrong." Adrian holds her gaze for a long moment. He sees fear, regret, embarrassment, things that can either break someone or rebuild them into something better. "That's a start," he replies softly. "Growth begins where assumptions end." Chloe nods, swallowing the weight of those words. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's a direction. As the cabin grows quiet again, Adrian leans back, letting the hum of the engines lull his thoughts into clarity. This flight has become more than an inspection, more than a job. It has become a mirror, forcing people to confront who they are when no one important is watching. Now they know someone important is always watching. Adrian closes his notebook. The lesson has taken flight. And it's not just the aircraft rising higher into the sky, it's awareness. He looks out the window. Below, the clouds stretch endless and white, judgment-free, perfectly equal. Above them, everyone is simply human. The wheels hit the Houston runway with a smooth thud, and applause ripples through the cabin, one of those small celebrations of a safe landing. Adrian remains seated, letting others scramble for overhead bins and phone signal. He isn't in a hurry. His work doesn't end when the plane stops. He observes even the way passengers disembark, organized, safe, or rushed and careless. Every detail matters. Chloe approaches slowly, hands clasped, eyes lowered, not performing anymore, not pretending, but genuinely humbled. "Before you leave," she says quietly, "I want to thank you. Not for what you did, but for what you could have done and chose not to." She's shaking, terrified of the consequences she knows are coming. Adrian studies her for a moment. The badge in his pocket feels heavier than normal, like a reminder of the responsibility he carries, not just to enforce rules, but to elevate humanity wherever possible. "I'm not here to destroy careers," he says. "I'm here to prevent tragedies. That includes the tragedy of prejudice left unchallenged." Chloe nods, blinking back tears. "I'll do better, I promise." He gives a small, measured nod. Not forgiveness, but possibility. At the terminal entrance, Adrian opens his work tablet and finishes the inspection report. His fingers type swiftly, confidently. Cabin safety procedures. Corrective action required. Staff training. Additional modules recommended. Immediate focus. Bias awareness and passenger respect. He submits it with one final tap. Not a punishment. A chance for the airline to fly safer and treat people like they belong in the sky they paid to share. His phone buzzes. His supervisor's voice crackles through the speaker. "Wells, heard you finished the inspection already. Everything go smoothly?" Adrian looks through the terminal windows at the plane he just stepped off. He sees Chloe inside, correcting procedures she once ignored. He sees the man who once smirked now, offering to help an elderly passenger with her bag. Small changes, but real. "Yes," Adrian replies. Everything went exactly as it needed to. Before he heads toward baggage claim, a little boy runs up to him from the crowd, the same boy who stared curiously earlier. "Excuse me, mister," he says, big brown eyes shining. "Mom said you help airplanes be safe. Is that true?" Adrian smiles fully for the first time today and kneels to the boy's level. "That's true. I make sure everyone gets to where they're going safely. People like your mom and people like me." The boy grins and raises his hand for a fist bump. Adrian returns it gently. "Ah, that's awesome," the kid beams, then runs back to his mother, who mouths, "Thank you," with sincere respect written across her face. Adrian watches them go, then stands tall. He adjusts the strap of his backpack and takes one last glance at the aircraft. He boarded that flight just a man in a polo. He left it as the force that reminded them all. Dignity is not granted by permission. It is carried confidently, quietly, until the world has no choice but to see it. He steps into the warm Houston sun, not because someone opened the door for him, but because he always belonged on the other side of it. Adrian Wells flies with purpose, and no one will ever deny him his seat again.